firestorm of court cases concerning the satanic and ritual abuse of children swept across the United States and was fueled by the popular media.
The stories dump in the ocean, chop up the bodies, these things, they sound like they can't be happening. Ted Gunnison, respected law enforcement professional, recently or retired now from the FBI, former regional director of Los Angeles. Do you, sir, believe that these dreadful allegations of babies being sacrificed are true?
I absolutely believe it, without any doubt.
San Diego, California resident Dale Kiki, born with a rare genetic disorder known as Noonan syndrome, was accused of ritually abusing children.
Did you ever intentionally physically hurt any children?
No, I did not.
Have you ever tortured any children?
No.
Have you ever murdered, tortured, killed any animals?
No.
The satanic ritual abuse allegations, which were so widely sensationalized in the popular media, were eventually labeled a moral panic by most professional and law enforcement entities. And in 1995, even Geraldo Rivera issued an apology for his participation in popularizing the satanic abuse phenomenon.
Due to the fact that I had witnessed somewhat of a cover-up of the reality of ritual abuse in my local community due to the maneuvers of reporter Mark Sauer.
The evidence is thin at best, specious, and frankly does not stand up to the light of day.
One of the first things I did was to immediately peruse the news group called Satanism, for instance. And I found a very famous alleged perpetrator on one of these news groups by the name of Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, and I had appellate documents. And the appellate documents about his case basically said that he was processed out of the Army in 1990 after a ritual abuse child investigation.
He's an admitted Satanist. He runs this, goofy, dark church or whatever, however you want to characterize it. So there's enough smoke here that Diana's going to find fire.
Is it a force for everything negative?
Well, if you're talking about Satanism as legitimate Satanists define it, absolutely not.
Does that prove that he's a child abuser, that he's sexually molesting children, or his agents, operating that? Well, of course not. I mean, where's the evidence of that?
Lieutenant Colonel Aquino was accused of ritual child abuse while he was stationed at the Presidio Army Base in San Francisco, but he was eventually cleared of all charges.
Area of thought and explanation that goes into their initial delusion.
And they refer to this website. And the
initial delusion. Who decides that it's a delusion? Just the general public, the majority, the cabinet? Who decides that that's what that is? It's a delusion. I don't get their drift, do you?
website was called the Center for Army Lessons Learned, and I looked it up, and this website is run by the Army.
Usually these delusional systems become more and more elaborate.
I looked up a term that other victims had been talking about, which is voice-to-skull devices.
They go out and explain to it, it all becomes part of the delusional system.
What voice-to-skull devices say, I have the printout right here. Neuro-electromagnetic device which uses microwave transmission of sound into the skull of persons or animals by way of pulse-modulated microwave radiation.
I think it's fair and it's important to say, you know, this does not sound to me like something that I find myself able to believe.
Can transmit sound great distances with a very narrow target range. The long-range acoustic device is one such technology, and is currently employed by both military and
Right, and it's sometimes called the voice of God and SSSS, Silent Sound Spread Spectrum.
commercial sea vessels to deter potential attackers.
It's called other things too, but those are the couple I know.
In San Diego, California, Woody Norris, developer of the LRAD, describes another of his acoustic technologies known as hypersonic sound.
It's kind of like radio stations, except in this case, you don't need a receiver. To hear a radio station, I gotta have a receiver. With this, the mixing actually happens in the air, and you hear it without any other device. So if I aim it at you, and it happens to hit both of your ears, and I'm reluctant to say this, it'll be as though the sound is inside your head.
Did you catch that?
This time I'll come all the way around in case you're getting a lot of echo from the room. Much of it is people pleading for help because they've been hearing voices in their head for years. And now this technology explains it. If it's my sound,
Excuse me.
turn your head, plug your ears, cover your head.
That's also what I read not too long ago, that to ease that up a little bit is to tilt your head, and it has to bounce off. It can't go straight in. And that kind of makes sense.
And sound goes away. If it doesn't, it's not me.
Hypersonic sound is perceived through the external ear of the subject, and therefore cannot be classified as V2K, the military acronym for voice-to-skull technology, which relies on a scientifically documented phenomenon known as the microwave auditory effect.
The observation of the phenomena came way back during the Second World War, and the radar operators, accidentally noticed that when they stand in front of the radar, sometimes they can hear clicks in their head. Somebody by the name of Alan Fry, who had talked to some of the radar operators based on their report, and he conducted a very simple laboratory experiment, indeed showed that human beings can hear the radar pulses. They were not just making it up.
They wanted to know what the significance of something like this would be if man had another sensory motor input. And of course, the possibilities are staggering. Like you have another sense like sight, only you're not using it. What do you think that would imply? It means you're walking around being blind to something that's constantly giving you inputs, but you're not aware of it. Well, the first implication on that would be a weapon.
There was some concerns because the American embassy in Moscow was reported to have been bombarded by microwaves. So the speculation was that are they trying to gather intelligence, or are they trying to actually mess with the brains of the embassy personnel? So there was some experiments being conducted. Of course, then they were involved in some other things which I'm not involved in, which are classified in nature.
Dr. Lin configured the equipment for the 1973 experiment performed at the Walter Reed Army Research Institute, wherein the experimenters successfully encoded speech and transmitted it via microwaves. The subject of the experiment, Dr. Joseph C. Sharp, was able to hear the spoken words for 1 through 10, and the results were published in the Journal of the American Psychological Association.
I read a little bit of this about what went on at Kansas City at the VA hospital.
And while Dr. Sharp verified these results during a personal interview with the filmmakers, he declined to have his voice or image recorded, stating that the technology was still too controversial.
In ordinary sound perception, sound that goes into the ear canal gets amplified by the small bones in the middle ear, and then gets to the inner ear where the cochlea resides, and in the cochlea is converted to electrical impulse. But fundamentally, the physical phenomenon that enables it is mechanical movement of particles.
So the mechanical wave transmitted by the bones of the middle ear gets converted at the inner ear into the electrical impulses. But in the case of a microwave auditory effect, is the source is electromagnetic. So if you expose the biological tissue to a pulse of microwave energy, the tissue expands and induces a vibration. Instead of going through the middle ear, the microwave-induced vibration gets propagated to the inner ear directly, and at the inner ear is converted to electrical impulses again. And in this case, a vibration in the human tissue, if the tissue is the head, for example, will fall within the auditory range of a human subject.
All applicants for voluntary admission are held a minimum of 15 days for examination before they may be released.
Now, the question is, have I been suddenly overcome by schizophrenia? My answer to that is that I have been forced on medication for the past 4 years, and not once have any of my voices stopped.
What's really going on here? Well, we really don't have the models yet, or the belief systems.
I failed to see a date on some of these, so I kind of hesitate. Here's your tags, though. Interesting set of little tags there. Related post. So I think I'll go ahead and probably share this. At least if you share, hit the like button every once in a while. Or add a friend. You're showing your presence, you know. I think that's part of it. Microwave close call.
Holy shit! Oh my god! Dude! God damn! Holy shit! Holy tits! Whoa! Did you see how close that was to my head? Oh my god! Where's my fucking face?
Project Bizarre. Danger Room. Gonna run out of time, but at least you can see the link. Let me go back a second. I can do it. Okay, this is what I googled. The microwave scream inside your head.